هنا في السعودية الثروة لا تقاس بالأرقام ولكنها بالازدهار ازدهار شعبها.
Hindi ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta at sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa akin. Kamusta mga kapang Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa mga laban ko sa Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open.
We are tracking a massive development coming out of Abu Dhabi that is sending shockwaves through the tennis world. Reports are circulating about a secret text message consisting of exactly 17 words that might just catapult Alex Eala into the stratosphere of global superstardom. This involves a stunning power play from a Saudi billionaire in the wake of what can only be described as a total meltdown in the Philippines. The reaction in Manila wasn't just quiet. It was the kind of deafening hush that chills you to the bone. Make no mistake, the arena was completely sold out, packed to the absolute rafters. Yet the atmosphere shifted instantly into the heavy, suffocating stillness of thousands of collective hearts shattering simultaneously. Alexandra Eala, the undisputed golden child of Philippine tennis and the solitary beacon of hope for a country desperate to crown a Grand Slam champion, had just conceded defeat, bowing her head in a moment of crushing disappointment. The narrative for the 2026 Philippine Women's Open was written long before the first serve. It was supposed to be her grand coronation ceremony on home turf. This marked the inaugural WTA 125 event ever hosted in her homeland, a tournament that felt practically engineered for her to seize the championship trophy while her countrymen cheered her on. However, instead of the expected ticker tape, parade, and adulation, she was met with the biting reality of a quarterfinal exit, courtesy of a ruthless performance by Colombia's Camila Osorio. For a brief, terrifying second, it appeared as though the immense weight of national expectation had finally broken the unyielding spirit of the 20-year-old prodigy. The online critics and keyboard warriors did not wait for the body to cool. They were already out in force on social media, sharpening their digital knives. The whispers transformed into a roar of doubt. Was the spotlight too blinding? Had she reached her ceiling prematurely? Observers were beginning to ask if we were witnessing the early decline of a rising star. Yet while the public and the press were busy dissecting every error and drafting premature obituaries for her professional career, a significant maneuver was taking place entirely behind the scenes. This was a development that absolutely nobody in the tennis community anticipated, a plot twist that flew completely under the radar. Thousands of miles away within the executive boardroom that essentially dictates the future of modern athletics, a man known for his calculated silence finally decided to play his hand. Yasir Al-Rumayyan, the governor of the Public Investment Fund, and arguably one of the most influential titans in the entire landscape of global sports, took notice. We are talking about the strategic genius behind the massive disruption of LIV golf and the aggressive Saudi expansion into football, boxing, and virtually every major sporting ecosystem who picked up his mobile device. He did not issue a formal press release to the wires. He certainly didn't summon the media for a chaotic press conference. There were no grand public declarations. Instead, he opted for a discreet, direct private message sent straight to Alexandra's personal inbox. The communication contained precisely 17 words. But let me tell you, those 17 words were not offering generic condolences or a better luck next time sentiment. They presented a legitimate lifeline. They offered a tier of access, influence, and white-glove treatment that even veteran tour players with decades of experience can usually only fantasize about. It was an invitation so exclusive that it has left the rest of the tennis circuit absolutely seething with jealousy and fueling rampant speculation. The burning questions on everyone's mind are obvious. What exactly did the message say? What specific proposal did he put on the table? And most critically, how did a devastating loss in Manila suddenly evolve into what might be the single most pivotal moment in Alex's professional journey? To understand the gravity of this, we need to rewind the tape to where this drama began. The energy at the Philippine Women's Open was high voltage from the very first ball struck. History was being made as the WTA Tour finally touched down on Philippine soil for the very first time. This was far more than just another stop on the annual calendar. This was a homecoming event of epic proportions, the likes of which the region had never seen. For Alex, this was the ultimate stage to prove to her compatriots that she wasn't just a prospect anymore, but a legitimate top 50 contender and a genuine power player who belongs among the global elite. On paper, the draw looked incredibly favorable for a deep run. The crowd support was partisan on a level you simply do not witness at standard tour events. Every single forehand winner she unleashed was met with a roar loud enough to register in 3 neighboring cities. The pressure on her shoulders was immense, but the wave of support was equally overwhelming. However, tennis remains a brutally unforgiving sport. It has zero regard for storybook narratives, heartwarming homecomings, or fairy tale conclusions. Enter Camila Osorio, a gritty, relentless warrior from Colombia, who arrived with nothing to lose and absolutely everything to prove. She didn't fly all the way to Manila to serve as an extra in the Alex Eala movie. She came to spoil the party and win full stop. The quarterfinal clash turned into an absolute war of attrition. Eala fought with every ounce of energy she possessed. Fighting is her trademark. It is that relentless drive that makes her such a special talent. But on this particular day, the margins were razor thin. Shots were landing just an inch wide and her serve lacked its customary venom and precision. Osorio, like a shark smelling blood in the water, sensed the nerves radiating from across the net and clamped down like a vice refusing to surrender an inch. When the final ball sailed long, cementing Osorio's triumph and bringing Eala's tournament to a screeching halt, the physical and emotional toll was clearly etched on every contour of Alex's face. She hadn't merely lost a tennis match. She looked as though she felt the crushing burden of letting down an entire nation that had been watching with bated breath. In the post-match presser, the raw emotion in the room was suffocating. "I have had better days," she confessed. Her voice trembling ever so slightly, yet she kept her chin up, maintaining the dignity of a true professional. But that is just how the sport goes. I have to accept the result and remember there is always another tournament next week. It was an incredibly mature response from someone so young, highlighting the mental fortitude that has propelled her this far in her career. However, those within her inner circle knew the brutal reality hiding behind that brave mask. She was absolutely gutted. This wasn't about the ranking points or the paycheck, though she did secure 27 WTA points and $3,450 for her efforts. It was entirely about the missed chance to hoist that trophy in front of the very people who had championed her since her days as a junior, hitting on cracked courts in Quezon City, dreaming of this exact scenario. But just as the dust was settling on her heartbreak, once the dust had finally settled over the courts in Manila and the spectators had filed out, the storyline took a sharp, unforeseen turn that nobody saw coming. Alex Eala did not retreat into the shadows. She refused to shy away from the cameras or vanish from the public eye to nurse her pride in private. Quite the opposite. She utilized the podium of her recent loss to issue a harsh reality check to the administrative bodies governing Philippine sports. In a maneuver that stunned analysts, with its sheer audacity and political fearlessness, Eala publicly exposed the woeful state, or rather the complete absence of adequate tennis infrastructure in the country. "Having a WTA event here is a magnificent starting point," she declared to the press, pack her eyes burning, with a fierce determination that demanded absolute silence in the room. However, I believe this serves as a critical wake-up call for the individuals in power who actually possess the means to effect real change. There is a massive amount of space for development here, rather than settling for the status quo of hosting merely 2 professional women's tournaments. This was not the whining of a beaten competitor looking for a scapegoat. This was the assertive voice of a burgeoning leader insisting on accountability and progress. She pressed on her rhetoric, gaining temperature and momentum. The gap for improvement is absolutely enormous. The Filipino people are incredibly industrious and deeply passionate, so I am convinced that if we nurture our tennis talent methodically, we can manufacture champion after champion. It was a courageous proclamation, one that carried the risk of irritating the establishment and burning bridges with powerful figures. Yet we all know that courage alone does not pay the bills, nor does it secure Grand Slam titles. For those achievements, one requires substantial resources. You require heavy financial backing, and you need a sophisticated machine operating at maximum efficiency in your corner. Precisely at that critical juncture, the telephone rang and the entire landscape shifted. Yasir Al-Rumayyan entered the chat, a name that commands instant reverence and, in some sporting circles, genuine trepidation. As the architect behind LIV Golf's seismic disruption of the PGA Tour and the driving force of Saudi Arabia's expansion into global football, boxing, Formula One, and nearly every major athletic discipline, his influence is unmatched. Al-Rumayyan is a visionary who specializes in identifying intrinsic value long before the rest of the market catches on. He has no interest in wagering on safe bets or guaranteed outcomes. His strategy is entirely focused on high-ceiling potential. He invests in the disruptors, the athletes capable of rewriting the rulebook and unlocking fresh territories. He is playing 3-dimensional chess, while the rest of the industry is stuck playing checkers. According to insiders, Al-Rumayyan has been quietly monitoring the WTA Tour for months, analyzing players with the meticulous eye of a veteran talent scout. His search was not for the current world number one or the established icons already drowning in massive sponsorship contracts. He was scouting for the future. He was searching for a competitor who embodied the very essence of resilience. He needed a player capable of acting as a bridge between the Western world and the colossal, largely untapped markets of Asia. He had been observing Alex Eala with intense scrutiny, and when she fell in Manila, most traditional sponsors would have immediately withdrawn their interest. Conventional wisdom dictates that brands wait for a player to return to the winner's circle before committing any significant capital. However, Al-Rumayyan operates on a frequency entirely separate from traditional sports executives. He saw the fire in her eyes during that post-match press conference. He witnessed the way she navigated the crushing weight of national pressure with a grace and maturity far beyond her years. He recognized the political intelligence required to criticize the system without destroying her relationships, and he made the decision to strike immediately. The communiqué he dispatched was concise, consisting of merely 17 carefully selected words, the essence of which we have confirmed through multiple independent channels. While the specific verbiage remains a strictly confidential matter between the parties, the substance of the message was nothing short of explosive and historically significant. He lauded her relentless work ethic and her unbreakable fighting spirit, despite facing monumental expectations from her home nation. He designated her as a fresh symbol of fortitude for an entire generation of aspiring athletes. Yet it was the proposal following the accolades that has sent shockwaves through the tennis insider community. Al-Rumayyan did not simply send a generic hang-in-there note. He extended a formal invitation that includes a tier of VIP treatment typically reserved only for tennis royalty or visiting heads of state. We are discussing unrestricted access to ultra-elite training complexes. These are state-of-the-art facilities located in the Middle East that the vast majority of professional players will never set foot in. The package includes private aviation logistics to eliminate the exhaustion of commercial travel, along with a direct fast track to upcoming major tournaments in the region, backed by full support staff. This represents the type of holistic backing that can completely metamorphose a career virtually overnight. In the grueling world of professional tennis, physical and mental fatigue is the silent assassin that ends careers prematurely. Flying economy class across widely different time zones, staying in lonely hotel rooms in strange cities, and lacking top-tier physiotherapy are factors that drain a player. These logistical nightmares crush dreams and derail potential long before a lack of actual talent ever does. Al-Rumayyan was offering to obliterate all that friction for Eala, effectively removing every single obstacle in her path except for the tennis match itself. The response from other players on the tour was instantaneous and emotionally charged. There was a mix of envy, jealousy, and bewilderment. They asked, why her? Why not a top 10 player with a proven Grand Slam track record? Why not a household name? The answer becomes crystal clear once you comprehend the overarching strategy at play here. He is executing a 10-year master plan, not looking for next quarter's quick profits. He sees in Eala what the rest of the world is only starting to grasp, that she is far more than just a talented tennis player. We are witnessing the rise of a bona fide superstar, an athlete possessing that rare magnetic quality capable of shattering boundaries and redefining the very essence of women's tennis on a global scale. The sequence of events that unfolded next went far beyond what anyone could have anticipated, blowing the minds of even her inner circle and the most seasoned insiders tracking this developing story. Eala did not simply jump at the opportunity with reckless abandon. Instead, she handled the proposition with a level of maturity and calculated precision that was as heartfelt as it was tactically brilliant. This decision effectively unlocked a portal to an entirely unprecedented chapter in her career. A pivotal shift in momentum that would have seemed absolutely impossible to forecast only a few short weeks ago. We need to be clear here, this arrangement is not merely some standard sponsorship agreement or a fleeting endorsement check. It represents a monumental coalition between the sport's brightest young prodigy and a titan who stands among the most influential power brokers in the entire athletic world. Now we are seeing the immediate high-impact results of this partnership, starting with a confirmed wildcard slot directly into the main draw of the highly coveted 2026 Abu Dhabi Open. Let me tell you folks, the magnitude of this development cannot be overstated. It is a colossal game-changer in every sense of the word. Understand that Abu Dhabi is not just another tour stop. It is an exclusive arena reserved for the absolute cream of the crop, a battleground where only the highest-ranked and most lethal competitors are invited to play. Securing a direct entry via wildcard is essentially winning the lottery. It allows her to completely sidestep the grueling, treacherous qualifying matches that often serve as a graveyard for the aspirations of countless hopefuls. Just stepping onto that court ensures a substantial financial payday, guaranteeing a lucrative check before a single ball is even struck, irrespective of the final scoreboard. Furthermore, it thrusts her directly into the global spotlight, placing her at center court to trade blows with the planet's top-tier rackets under the most intense glare of the media. Most crucial of all, this opportunity drops her squarely into Alma's home territory, offering the perfect stage to demonstrate physically that his significant investment and belief in her potential were 100% warranted. However, before packing her bags for the glitz and glamour of the Middle East to kickstart this campaign, she had one final, unavoidable commitment to honor back on her home soil. Make no mistake, this was not some run-of-the-mill appearance or a boring gala dinner she could simply sleepwalk through. We are talking about the Philippine Sports Writers Association Annual Awards Night, the PSA Awards, widely recognized as the single most distinguished accolade one can receive in the nation's sporting history. If her heartbreaking defeat at the hands of Osorio represented the rock bottom of her recent emotional roller coaster, then this ceremony marked the dizzying zenith of her career thus far. Swapping her sweat-soaked performance gear and court shoes for high fashion, she stunned the crowd in a sophisticated evening gown and stilettos, radiating the aura of a true global icon in the making. Yet she did not stand solitary at the summit on this momentous evening. In a historic twist not seen for 22 agonizing years, the association announced a deadlock for the supreme title of Athlete of the Year. To give you perspective, the last instance of such a split decision occurred all the way back in 2004, a veritable eternity in the fast-paced world of professional athletics. The titans who shared the podium on that previous occasion were none other than the boxing god himself, Manny Pacquiao, and the golfing phenomenon Jennifer Rosales. We are discussing the rarest of air here, folks, standing shoulder to shoulder with immortals and era-defining legends, but there is a crucial twist to this narrative you need to hear. The undercurrents of envy and lingering resentment swirling around this achievement only serve to inject a volatile, thrilling dose of high-stakes drama into every single contest she enters from this point on. This has transcended the boundaries of forehands, backhands, and ranking points. It has evolved into a gripping saga, a personal vendetta, and a theatrical masterpiece all rolled into one. Precisely those elements are what render this storyline so irresistibly addictive, and it is why you cannot afford to look away as we intend to dissect every minute detail of this unfolding spectacle. What we are privileged to observe right now is the metamorphosis of Alexandra Eala happening live before our eyes, and the process is nothing short of mesmerizing. The days of the wide-eyed junior prodigy, happily hoisting trophies and beaming for the cameras with innocent joy, are officially a thing of the past. Emerging in her stead is a hardened, astute professional, capable of maneuvering through devastating defeats, elite red carpet galas, and the intricate web of geopolitical power moves with sophisticated grace and razor-sharp intellect. She is maturing rapidly in the public eye, possessing a reservoir of raw talent that has never once been a subject of debate among the experts. Now she is armed with the formidable artillery of massive financial backing and political clout, coupled with a burning, ferocious drive following the Manila incident to silence every single detractor. That crushing defeat in Manila provided the necessary kindling, but it was the cryptic message from Al Ran that truly struck the match and set the entire situation ablaze. The upcoming campaign in Abu Dhabi will serve as the ultimate crucible, where this flame will either roar into a blinding inferno or be snuffed out completely. There is absolutely no room for compromise. Those 17 specific words that shifted the tectonic plates of her career remain somewhat shrouded in secrecy, ramping up the suspense. Yet their shockwaves are already undeniable and rippling through the entire tennis ecosystem. It remains to be seen if this trajectory culminates in a magical storybook conclusion for the ages, or if it transforms into a grim warning regarding the perilous nature of external forces and foreign money interfering in the purity of competitive sports. However, one fact stands irrefutable. Alex Eala has graduated from being merely another participant scraping for ladder positions. She has positioned herself as a protagonist in the larger war for the soul of tennis, influencing how the game will be funded and governed for decades to come. Do not take your eyes off this screen for a second. The 2026 season is barely out of the blocks, and even the most imaginative fiction writers could not have engineered a more explosive or theatrical plot twist than the reality we are living right now. From the agonizing nadir experienced in Manila to the glorious celebrated heights of the PSA Awards ceremony, all leading toward the unpredictable horizon of Abu Dhabi, Alex's Odyssey is destined to be the headline narrative we discuss for years down the line. Now I need to turn this over to you. What is your take on this madness? Do you view this mysterious offer as a genius strategic maneuver that will catapult Philippine tennis into a new stratosphere? Or is this a ticking time bomb of controversy waiting to detonate in spectacular fashion? Does Alex have the grit to channel that championship energy of Carlos Yulo, harness that winning mentality, and deliver a performance in Abu Dhabi that sends shockwaves around the globe? Furthermore, I want your best guesses. What exactly were those 17 enigmatic words that flipped the script so drastically? I want to hear thoughts from every single one of you in the audience. Flood the comments section below with your wildest theories, your boldest predictions, and your unfiltered hot takes. I personally go through every single response because I thrive on the debates we generate in this community. If you have faith that Alex is on a collision course with a Grand Slam title in history books, go ahead and obliterate that like button right this instant. For those of you demanding minute-by-minute coverage of this rapidly evolving saga, you need to stay locked in right here. Trust me when I say, we are anticipating a cascade of even more shocking updates as this story continues to unfold in real time. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and toggle the notification bell immediately because you simply cannot afford to miss our upcoming deep dive into the Abu Dhabi draw. We are preparing to expose classified tour intel and deliver the kind of high-level analysis that the mainstream networks simply do not provide. This is your premier destination for the unfiltered truth driving the WTA and ATP tours today. Let's get back to the action. Stay sharp, keep your sources close, and brace yourselves, because the next chapter of this tennis drama is just getting started. Welcome back to our top story. We are dissecting the exact second Holger Rune's composure failed him and revealed his true thoughts regarding Alex Eala. Usually, locker room talk and personal sentiments are kept strictly off the record, buried beneath layers of PR training and carefully rehearsed press conference scripts. However, chaos ensues when a 21-year-old prodigy momentarily forgets, the cameras are rolling, and drops his defensive shield. It takes only a single inquiry during a laid-back media session to completely upend the narrative and send the rumor mill into overdrive. Rune certainly did not wake up that morning planning to spark a global frenzy, nor did he anticipate his offhand comments would set the tennis internet ablaze. Yet as soon as the syllables of Alex Eala's name left his lips, the atmosphere changed instantly. The hesitation was palpable. Observers noted a grin that was far too authentic and a level of detailed knowledge that betrayed a deeper interest, alerting fans across the globe to the situation. We are here to unpack how an inadvertent slip of the tongue has transformed into the most fascinating sidebar of the 2026 season. This situation highlights two elite competitors, both shouldering the immense expectations of their respective homelands, suddenly thrust into a spotlight that has nothing to do with their forehands. Furthermore, it demonstrates how a fleeting instance of vulnerability can unveil a surprisingly poignant reality. It speaks volumes regarding mutual admiration and the unseen dynamics that play out on the professional circuit. Let us discuss the burden of national expectation. To fully grasp why Rune's slip-up is dominating the headlines, we must first analyze the unique positioning of these two standout athletes. This narrative goes beyond simple courtship rumors. It is a study in immense pressure, patriotism, and the isolation of being the sole torchbearer for a country's sporting ambitions. Holger Rune arrived on the professional stage with the intensity of a Category 5 hurricane sweeping down from the north. The Danish phenomenon did not merely participate in matches. He assaulted the ball with a relentless aggression that drew immediate comparisons to the early days of Rafa Nadal. By the age of 21, he had already smashed his way into the ATP top 10, taken down Grand Slam title holders, and cemented his reputation as the tour's most volatile yet captivating live wire. Analysts rave about his lethal down-the-line backhand and his unteachable competitive instinct. While his on-court temper tantrums have become the stuff of legend, there is a critical nuance that the average viewer often misses regarding Rune's psyche. He is not merely competing for personal glory. Denmark has been starved of a male tennis icon of this caliber for decades. Consequently, every time he steps onto the court, he carries the aspirations of the entire Danish population, turning every win into a cause for national jubilation. Conversely, every defeat is analyzed microscopically by the Copenhagen press. creating a pressure cooker environment that would obliterate most young men. Yet Rune appears to feed off this high-stakes energy, even when it looks like the stress might consume him entirely. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Southeast Asia, Alex Eala has been navigating an equally crushing weight of expectation in the Philippines. However, the distinction lies in the support system. While Rune had European infrastructure, Eala is effectively blazing a trail through the wilderness alone. She shattered ceilings by becoming the first Filipino national to secure a junior Grand Slam singles title at the US Open and the first to crack the WTA Top 200. She single-handedly demonstrated that a country of 110 million could indeed cultivate a tennis player capable of standing with the world's best. Let that sink in. We are talking about an archipelago nation with scarce hard courts and minimal federation funding, now pinning all their hopes on one young woman's racket. For Eala, signing up for an event is not just about chasing ranking points or a paycheck. It is a crusade to validate that Southeast Asian athletes have a rightful place competing against the traditional powerhouses of the sport. Reflecting on her recent performance, she noted that while the overall campaign had positives, the immediate result was a bitter pill to swallow, admitting she has certainly seen better days on the court.